What's up, YouTube? This is Elijah coming at you with another video from the applifestyle.org, a one-stop shop for all things rideshare and delivery alike. And in this part of the Ubereats Advanced course, we're going to be talking about Ubereats tactics. Now, I've been excited about doing this video for quite some time. And before we dive into it, what the heck is a tactic? We may hear this word thrown around quite a bit, but let's actually just Google the definition of a tactic. So, I'm going to type in tactic definition. Definition is as follows: an action or strategy carefully planned to achieve a specific end. So when you combine that with Uber Eats, well, it's an Uber Eats action or strategy carefully planned to achieve a certain end. Now, what is the end for most Uber Eats drivers? To put it under all a common theme, it should be to make the most money in the least bit of time, right? Hence, all the tactics I'm going to cover in this video are going to be geared towards that specific end. And later in the video, we will cover boosts versus tips. Now, jumping right into it, I didn't mention this in the first course, but Waze actually has some pros that you might not know about unless you're contributing. And what I mean by contributing, when you're driving around, you see a wreck or you're in traffic or there's some fog coming up, or if you report that information, then it gives you points. Like if you've ever done it before, if you start doing it now, you're gonna notice it says you got 6 points, you got a certain amount of points. You can compete with your friends and see who gets the most points. I've had fun doing that, but it serves a second more important purpose. As you can see on the screen, this is a Waze notification notifying me of basically what roads will be shut down during certain times of the day. And you only start getting these messages if you're contributing to the Waze platform. Now, I've noticed you don't have to keep contributing, you just need to start contributing. Like, for instance, I haven't reported anything in probably a month, but I have so many points at this point, I'm built into that algorithm to receive this stuff. So this is pretty key because obviously where there are roads blocked off, that's good to know just traffic patterns, but that also means that there are events going on. And Waze will even tell you why are the roads blocked off. There's a Cowboys game at AT&T Stadium. There's a concert going on at the American Airlines Center. I'm naming places that have events in my area, but the same is going to apply to you. That's why this is important. So you can get a heads up about these areas of the city having this kind of a traffic and roads blocked off, and so you can deal with the situations accordingly. Now, you don't want to drive there and then just notice that this crap is going on. It's like, oh man, now I got to deal with this, etc. You can have the information, have a nice heads up, and if necessary, you can let your customer know and arrange for them to meet you somewhere. Because it's in their best interest. It can take you forever to find a place to park your car, and they won't get towed, because these events have been getting pretty aggressive in terms of cars parked in the wrong area and then someone just tows it. So you can avoid that whole hassle, and it's to their benefit too, because it can take forever to get their food, 15-20 minutes after you've arrived at the scene, and they know this because they know about the events in that area. And sometimes they place the order, they don't even think about that, so it's not even on their mind. Like, oh, it slipped my game that the Knicks are playing, they get blah, 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 blah. Whatever. If you have the information, you can communicate with the customer ahead of time, arrange for them to pick it up at the car. Boom, you move on to your next delivery very fast. On top of that, for you Uber Eats dual platformers such as myself that drive UberX and Uber Eats, when these events get out, there's going to be surge, obviously. And when there's surge, well, guess what? If it's surging long enough, you can start getting the surge attached to Uber Eats pings that get dispatched within that time frame. So if you time it right, you can get you some nice little surge rides in the process too. So that covers the tactics surrounded around Waze. Next, we're going to cover text tactics. You might be thinking, what is a text tactic? Basically, these are the texts I send out based on the situation to speed the situations up or keep them going relatively fast. See, a lot of people find themselves in situations where it's taking a little too long, and even it's clicking in your head, man, this is taking too long, it's taking too long. Well, there's things that we can do to kind of mitigate that. Now, I did mention this in part 1 of the first course about shooting the text, asking for information. I'm going to take it a step further here and give the scenario outlines, or the actual scenarios, if you will. So, the first thing to know about these texts before I get into any of them is I don't ever send them as in typing. One, it would take too long and I'll be wasting time. Two, if I was to text while I'm on the way, well, not only is that unlawful, but you know, I'm risking my safety and everyone else on the road just to shoot a text. No. What I do is I have all of these texts saved in a program in my phone, like in my notes little section, and then I just copy and paste them as I need them. Because that only takes maybe 5-10 seconds, and I always have that tab open. That way, I just copy, paste, bam, and situation is done. So I'm not encouraging anyone to text and drive. Remember that. Handle it the way I just said to handle it. Everything runs smooth. Now, as I'm talking, you'll see the screenshots of what I'm talking about in terms of actual scenarios in the app. They give no information, but you can tell they are in an apartment. So let's say you zoom in on the map and see they're in an apartment, but sometimes it'll say the apartment's names, but sometimes it won't. Well, here's what I do. I send a text asking for a few things. Well, obviously the apartment number. Second thing is I'm asking for the gate code if there is one. Third thing is I'm asking for the name of the apartment. Those are the 3 things that's gonna allow you to get in there and out there as fast as possible, okay? And it's to their benefit too. And it's also training these customers to put all the information in the app. Imagine if all y'all watching this video started doing that to people who aren't putting the information in. Obviously, it's gonna start clicking that, you know what, I need to just put this in the notes. So then you're helping the next fellow Ubereats driver and yourself, because next time the notes will just be there. You ain't even gotta text them. So see it as doing a public service, in addition to some self-interest involved in there. Scenario 2, they give just the apartment number. So what am I gonna ask for? I'm gonna ask for the gate code and the name of the apartment. It's a little underestimated how much useful to have the name of the apartments can be. Because if you have the name of the apartments, I'm gonna say right now it's 100 times easier. Imagine if you didn't have to look for this tiny little address, but you could just look for the actual name of the apartments. Easy. 100 times more easy. All right. The third scenario, they give just the apartment number and the gate code. I'm still gonna ask for the name of the apartments. Okay. Now you could still get in there pretty fast just based off that information, but I'll say this, it's their job to make it 100% easy for us because it's their benefit. So any other information I need, I'm still gonna ask. Now, I'm not gonna go through the rest of the scenarios because you're kind of getting the trend. You need those 3 things. And if 1 or 2 are missing, you're gonna send a text asking for those. And once you send the text once, before you send it, just copy that and then add it to your little notes section. You can name it Ubereats Tactics Text or Ubereats Text or whatever. And that time, anytime you need to reuse it, boom. I just say something simple like, "Hi, my name is Elijah. I'm your Ubereats driver. I see you're in an apartment," and then I go into the information that I need. Simple. And very valuable. So that covers well, not completely. We'll get into the probably the most controversial part of this video. And I've noticed that a lot of people are kind of scared to address it, but I'll be that person that will address it. But let's get into boost versus tips. Now, as you'll see later in the course when we cover Ubereats zones, this will make perfect sense. But even based on what you've heard so far, you can kind of tell it's been leading up to this. But you got your quadrants that you should have already have broke down, okay? you're gonna notice that some are gonna be within higher boost zones, some are gonna be within lower boost zones. And when it comes to boosts versus tips, this plays a big factor. Now, this is not including quests. See, the thing with quests, at the time of the recording of this video, quests are, you can do them anywhere. So let's say there's a quest in my market where I can be in Grapevine or Fort Worth or Dallas or Grand Prairie or Cedar Hill. It doesn't matter. I do a trip, it contributes towards that quest. So we're not going to talk about quests. Strictly boosts versus tips. Now, each zone that you're in, each quadrant, you need to be making a certain amount of money. But after, servicing that quadrant for a little while, it's going to click how you're making your money. Is your money mainly coming from the boosts or is it coming from the tips? Okay? So you need to pay attention to this. Now, note that this comes from when you start in the quadrant. So let's say if you get an order from the east-south side of your quadrant, and it takes you to the north-south side. You're going to count that activity and the earnings and all that in the quadrant that the restaurant was in, okay? So you don't get too confused. And you need to start paying attention, okay, how am I making my money? Is it coming from boosts or is it coming from tips? Now, if it is coming from boosts, well, let's start with tips first. If it's coming from tips, hey, guess what? In every scenario, I'm going to be as serviceable as possible. I'm going to bring the food up to the customer because that area of the city is very appreciatory and they tip. And that means that my efforts are getting rewarded in tips. So I'm going to be doing things like that just by default, okay? Now, let's say you encounter areas of your market that are not tipping, and we all have them, okay? I guarantee you have places in your market that tip and places in your market that don't, but it's up to you to find out. But if they are not tipping, like you look at your earnings, you don't ever see that green symbol that says tips when you tend to work most of the day in this given quadrant. That means that the bulk of your money is going to be coming from boosts. Okay? Now, if your bulk of your money is coming from boosts, is it to your benefit to do everything I just said? No. You are literally just wasting time. Let's just keep it 100, okay? So, when that happens, do you think I'm going to be bringing the food up to them and doing all this stuff and finding somewhere to park and all that stuff? No, I'm not. I'm just going to be honest. That is those scenarios where I'm arranging for them to meet me outside. I'm just keeping it 100. I send the following text. It doesn't matter. See, and I fell into this bag too. But when I was a rookie, I just assumed that they left information. Then, hey, just take it up to them, etc. Now that I'm in the advanced category, I'm not doing that, okay? Now, I'm doing it if it's the first scenario I just mentioned where people are tipping. But if it's not, it doesn't care if it has the apartment to get. The only exception is an apartment complex because that's kind of necessary. An apartment complex, it takes longer than the house, but it's not as too much different than the house as long as you have the gate code and you're good at navigating. But let's say these big ass skyscraper apartment buildings, okay? Scenarios like that, I don't care what information they leave. I always send this standard text. Hi, my name is Elijah. I'm your Uber Eats driver. Do you want to come and meet me, or is there somewhere you want me to bring it? Okay. And I mentioned do you want to meet me somewhere first, because it's a psychological thing. People, the first thing they hear is usually what clicks. A lot of people, the last part won't even click. You doubt me, give it a try. And you'll find that most Uber Eats customers are also, UberX customers, so they don't mind meeting you outside, even if they leave the information in the app. But you got to be the one to put it in that context, okay? The amateurs, they won't do it, and that happens. Or people get snobby with them, and they kind of make the customers come down. Yeah, they come down, but maybe the satisfaction rate takes a hit. If you do it the way that I just said, then you get to move on to your next delivery faster because you didn't have to go through all that stuff. In addition to everything just running smoothly, okay? So to summarize, if the tips are what you're aiming for and you're getting them, you want to go ahead and take everything up and do all that, etc. But if the boost is your objective, then you need to handle it the way I said. And that could vary based on Uber's boost. So there's certain times a year where there may be a 2.0 boost or a 1.7 or 2.2, etc. And like these are areas that are tipping, but the boost is a higher priority because it's bigger. Now, if it's like a 1.5, 1.3, the tips will take priority because more of my income is coming from tips, okay? But if it's like a 2.2, look at your earnings and look at how much you're making a boost. A lot of times you look at the overall earnings, you got to look at how much you're making individually, okay, on these trips. And see how much these boosts are paying, okay? So when that happens, even though people are tipping, I will switch strategies to boost being prioritized. In which case, I'm going to have them meet me outside. Because the faster I can move on to my next delivery, the more money I'm going to make. Because let's say, because I handle it that way, I can slide 3 deliveries in an hour instead of 2. That can make a big difference. It can boost you from $14 an hour to like $19 or $20 an hour. And that's, do I have to even say anymore? I think we can all agree that that'd be pretty smooth, right? So you gotta decide which one is a priority. Is it the boost or is it the tips? And if it's the boost, you handle it accordingly, like I just mentioned. And that's pretty much it. I don't really see most people bringing that up, or they'll kind of skim over it, but I'll just be the one to bring it up because it will cost you money if you're not aware of those 2 factors. So that covers boosts versus tips and also Ubereats tactics. Stay tuned for the next video of the Advanced Ubereats course so you can keep staying within that $18 to $11 range, sometimes exceeding it, or even staying on the high side, in addition to working the least amount of hours possible to make the most amount of money. It's Elijah. Until the next time, and don't forget to go to theapplifestyle.org. Peace out.